Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Blissed? Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Have you ever seen me when I'm not?
Dr. Shealy, it's great to hear your voice.
Always.
I've got a little story I'd like to tell. It's not exactly medical, but it's timely. So yesterday, I was helping a friend. I spend one day a week usually helping a friend with plumbing, electrical, wiring issues, upgrading a farmhouse built about half a century ago. And so we work together, and it's really kind of a class of one. And I teach how to do certain things, and it's a lot of fun for me and him as well. So the two of us work together, and you know this gentleman. He's actually one of our instructors. Lives in the Springfield Village area, and so I had all my tools in the trunk of my old diesel Mercedes, my 1996 Mercedes diesel, and I like to take that because it gets great mileage. And the weather report was fine, and so I was going to spend the day with him. And we're working in the basement on plumbing, and a little couple snowflakes here and there, nothing to be concerned about. Well, it started snowing and snowing, and then it started getting colder and colder. And of course, the weather report said, a 20% chance of, light flurries, and it was going to be in the 30s, and then maybe dip down into the 20s. Well, that's not exactly what happened. We had more snow. It turned to ice, and the temperatures dropped into the teens very, very quickly, and the roads became quite dangerous. So I had the option of camping out there overnight with my buddy, and I got a call from our son, and he said, "Hey, Dad, how's it going?" I said, "Well, we're working on plumbing, and pretty soon we'll have the basement bailed out, and we'll get all the water out of the basement." I was just kidding him, but he said, "Hey, Dad, weather conditions are really bad." He took a friend of his home, maybe a 5 or 6 mile drive in his 4-wheel drive truck. And our son has these 2 sizes larger tires, mud and snow tires on his truck that we use around the farm for traction. And they're relatively new tires. And he said, "Dad, you're not going to make it home. Do you want me to come and get you?" And I said, "Let me look." And I looked outside, and I said, "Oh, yeah, that'd be good." Because I was thinking about Interstate 44 and how there'll be pile-ups and it'd be really dangerous. And I wasn't so much worried about me. I was worried about other operators of vehicles who really don't pay attention enough, and I didn't want one of those sliding into me. So we decided we'd take the back roads, and I've been harping on a danger, a man-made danger that I think is very significant, and I call them cheese graters. And it's not my term. It came from Joey in Michigan, one of our instructors. And these are these high-tension wires that run parallel to the highway that prevent what the highway department calls crossover accidents. So if you're in the eastbound lane of Interstate 44, you'll see these wires that prevent you from crossing over the grassy median to the westbound lane and avoiding head-on collisions. Well, that grassy median in places is 300, 400, 500 feet wide. Sometimes it's narrower than that. But it was designed so that you'd have this place to go in case you had to get off the road quickly. The grass would slow you down. And, we've eliminated that. And we have these cheese graters that are parallel to the road, the highway, and it prevents you from going off to the left into the grassy median should there be inclement weather or ice or snow or a dangerous condition ahead where you've got to pull off very quickly. Well, last night, I've been harping about this, and I've been saying some pretty strong words like the people who have designed this, installed this, implemented this, approved this should be arrested, tried, and convicted. And my newest thoughts are they should be arrested, tried, and convicted of intentionally causing manslaughter. Last night, we decided to take a road parallel to Interstate 44. There were 4 horrific car crashes, one of them involving 100 vehicles last night.
Oh, my God.
Yep, on Interstate 44. And there were 3 others, a lot of cars. And one of them, and I'll post these on the website, one of these crashes, and these you can't call this an accident. This is way, way bigger than an accident. One of them, the tractor trailer jackknifed perpendicular to the highway, which means the width of the tractor trailer was the width of the highway. And so it obviously slid on the ice, turned 90 degrees, was wedged, and could not go forward or backward. And there was no place for these cars to go. So they crashed one in the next, into the next, and the next, and the next. It was a domino effect. And cars were piled, literally. Not only did they slam into each other like bumper cars, but cars were on top of cars. This was absolutely horrific. And the interstate was closed last night from probably, I'm estimating, probably around 5 o'clock till 4 o'clock in the morning. 113 miles of Interstate 44 was closed in Missouri as a result of the ice. Now, I'm mentioning this for a lot of reasons. One, we need to pile on top of the state government who installed these cheese graters, who have caused us to have no place to go in an emergency. You can only go forward. You can't turn around. If you see a tornado ahead of you and you're traveling west on Interstate 44, as if I were coming toward your house, Dr. Shealy, on 44, Interstate 44, and I saw a tornado ahead, and I have seen one, you have to travel miles and miles before you can get off and go over to the overpass to cross the highway and turn around. The emergency vehicles complain of this because when they're called to an accident on the other side of the highway, they may have to go 12 miles out of their way, 6 miles there and 6 miles back to get to the accident because you can't get there, because you can't cross the median because of these cheese graters. So I just wanted to talk about a very dangerous situation that was man-made, caused by people who should not be in office, people who should be fired immediately, tried, convicted, arrested, imprisoned for intentionally causing manslaughter. I just wanted to share that.
It's only government. What do you expect? Something real and good?
Dr. Shealy, this is just one more concrete example of how dangerous.
Point.
Yes.
Name me one example of good.
I can't. I can't. So I know that's not a medical question, but it was so serious and timely. I wanted to mention that, and we've been talking about it for years. It's not like we just mentioned it yesterday thinking about this. No, we've been mentioning this for years, and here is a perfect example of how bad it is. And so there you have it. Dr. Shealy, I plan on experimenting with carbon-60, taking some 10 to 20 drops of carbon-60 a day, and to see what it does in terms of stamina, improving health, and things like that. Do you have any thoughts that you'd like to share with us at this time, or do you want to do some research on this?
Well, I have to research. I've read about it long ago. Mm-hmm. I think they're called Bucky molecules.
That's exactly right.
And but I don't know about the medical benefits of taking it. But Bucky was a bright guy.
Yeah, Buckminster Fuller is the gentleman we're talking about, class. Mm-hmm. And because of the shape of this carbon 60, it looks like a soccer ball or a Buckminster Fuller Bucky ball. Okay. Let's see. There are a couple other things I'd love to chat with you about. In the line of thinking about traveling in inclement weather, we have in our vehicles, we keep a blanket or two. We keep water. We keep a tow strap, which is this nylon strap with forged hooks on the end of it, so that if we have to pull someone out of a ditch or we have to be pulled somewhere or towed somewhere, we have that ready. We have jumper cables. We have a complete toolkit, well, relatively complete. We have wrenches in metric and US. We have screwdrivers and Phillips and standard slotted. We have sockets. We have pliers and electrical tape and wire and, things that we can Band-Aid our vehicle together to get it out of the way, or maybe even home. So we do that, and I'm suggesting, and we have some food that stores for a long time in the trunks of the vehicles as well. And I'd like to suggest, class, that during these really serious weather events that we have, you could be stranded for hours and hours. And in the case of the interstate being shut down, if you were behind that one of those 4 horrific crashes, now think about this. So you're behind it. It's in front of you. The cheese graters are such that even if you wanted to turn around and go back the other way, you couldn't. You're stuck there. And the weather was, it was 17 degrees and dropping, and by this morning, it was 2 degrees. Imagine what it would be like in that temperature in your vehicle, stranded. Rescue vehicles can't get to you because there's so many vehicles in the way, and you're in the middle of that mess. Even if you're not involved in the crash, you're kind of stuck there. As a matter of fact, my friend was talking to his wife, and and she was traveling. She was coming home from out of state, and she was traveling coming north to Missouri. And he and I both had the same recommendation. Fill up your vehicle right now, because you don't know if you're going to get stuck and stranded in the ice. So, class, please think about that when you travel. And if you don't have to, don't. We'll be right back. Shealy, one other point of information about this kind of weather. A lot of us heat with, in Missouri, heat with propane gas. Some of us cook with propane gas. We heat on our farm with wood, and we have an outdoor wood furnace. And we have a backup system, which is propane, and then we have another system, which is a heat pump. So we have 3 ways of heating our house: heat pump, propane, gas, and a outdoor wood boiler. And all of those systems use the same heating duct and the same air circulation, air handler system. Well, I was talking to our son about propane, and the weather has been so cold here in Missouri that the propane delivery companies have had a tough time keeping up with the demand. So what happens is people who are on the propane route of these companies just depend on the propane company to figure out when they should get propane. Well, they're slow in the deliveries now, and what's happening is people are running out of propane. And that, for many people, is their primary heat source. What has happened is the weather, those people who have heat pumps, and also maybe they have propane gas logs, or they may have propane auxiliary heater in their house. What's happening is, because the electric rates have increased, people are trying to avoid using electricity for heating. And what has happened is that a heat pump, if you have a heat pump in your house, a standard unit that will make heat in the wintertime with electricity and make air conditioning in the summertime with electricity with the same unit, simply by reversing the flow of the refrigerant within the system, those systems don't work very well below 25 degrees. So below 25 degrees, what happens is the heating system usually has what's called a heat pack, which is resistive electric heating, which is the most expensive type of heating that you can have in terms of cost to operate it. Well, what's happened is the weather is so cold here that the heat pumps aren't working, and the customers of the electric company are trying to avoid using electricity, so they're using propane, but they're running out of propane in terms of timely deliveries. So that's happening here as well in Missouri. And the reason I'm mentioning that is you can die from freezing. I know that for a fact. We have a family friend who literally died during a power outage in Virginia when we had an ice storm. He was a farmer. He decided that he was going to stay at his farm for 11 days while the power was out. And after the 11 days, the family went to check on him, see if he was okay, and he was frozen to death. So you don't want to freeze to death. Now, how do you avoid that? Well, in my opinion, what I do is our family owns our own propane tanks. You can do it two ways. You can have the propane company deliver a tank, and they call it renting a tank. What it really means is they'll give you the tank for free as long as you buy the propane from them, but really built into the price of propane that they charge you is an extra cost, which defrays the cost of the tank that the company dropped off on your premises. So my suggestion is that you buy and own your own propane tank. And then you can have anybody you want fill it up. Because if you have the ABC company drop off a tank, only ABC will fill up your tank. No other company will come and fill up your tank, even in an emergency. They have this unwritten agreement among these companies that they will not fill each other's tanks. So own your own tank, and then you can call anybody you want. Now, should you call them in the winter? Absolutely not. You want to call them in the heat of the summer. That's when propane costs the least per gallon. And that's what I do. And I think the last time I brought propane, it was probably $1.19. Now it's probably closer to $2 a gallon. So buy your own tank, and it costs about $1 a gallon for the tank. So a 500-gallon tank is about $500. 1,000-gallon tank is about $1,000. Then you own it. Now you're responsible for maintaining it, and then you can save, you can save 80 cents a gallon many times when you fill up. Just wanted to share that. When we come back, Dr. Shealy, can we talk about psoriasis, eczema, and skin maladies? What causes them, and what do we do about them? Yeah. So I'm sorry about not talking about medicine for the first two segments, but I wanted to share those important survival and preparedness tips and information. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, class, and if you'd like to go to Dr. Norman Shealy's website, you can go to normshealy.com, normshealy.com, and that's where you can pick up some supplements that, same kind of supplements that I buy, right there at normshealy.com. I have an advantage. I can go right to the clinic in Springfield and buy them there, and you can do the same thing. So if you're in the Springfield area, you can go to Dr. Shealy's clinic. Dr. Shealy, can you give us the address and phone number of your clinic for those who want to call or make an appointment with you? And
2840 East Chestnut Expressway, Springfield, 65802, 417-351-5221.
Okay. Class, that's 2840 East Chestnut Expressway, 2840 East Chestnut Expressway, Springfield, Missouri. Telephone number if you'd like to call and arrange a consultation or set up an appointment to meet with Dr. Shealy, 417-351-5221, 417-351-5221. Let's see, Dr. Shealy, psoriasis. When I was in high school, there was one of our instructors who had a case of psoriasis, and he had it before I got to school, in the 60s, and he still had it when I graduated. What is psoriasis? What causes it? And is there anything we can do about it?
Well, it's like so many illnesses. It's part of that broad category we call autoimmune, which means that the body is attacking, in this case, primarily the skin, although often the joints as well. And all such diseases are to some extent related to a deficiency of vitamin D3. So right up at the top of my list, of course, is vitamin D3. Depending upon weight, 50,000 once a week if you weigh 140 or more, 50,000 every 10 days if you weigh less than 140. And you must take adequate K2. In this case, I would want to take at least 15 milligrams daily, and astaxanthin, astaxanthin, probably 30 milligrams a day. That's the basic minimum thing I would do. Now, a good friend of mine, chiropractor, had a long chat with me Friday night about a new extract, if you will, of CBD oil, which he's made into a paste. He claims that it will cure almost all skin rashes, including psoriasis, by rubbing it onto the skin. I haven't got any yet, but hopefully in a few weeks I may have some. Meanwhile, I have had success with the D3, the K2, and the astaxanthin.
Okay, class, I'd like to let you know that I've been taking CBD oil as well. I take it 2 to 3 times a day, and it comes in a little pump bottle. And so I squirt it in my mouth, and I swish it around I try to do it for at least 90 seconds. I understand that 30 seconds is adequate, but I do it for 90 seconds. And I got to tell you, I think there really is something to it. I really do. So I'm looking forward to even more of your research on CBD oil, Dr. Shealy, as you find more and more benefits. Or if you find disbenefits, we'd certainly like to know about those as well. I think that's great. Okay, that was psoriasis. Now, I know another person who has psoriasis and has had it for, I would say at least, I'd say darn close to 40 years that I know of, for sure. And this person finds that if he goes, and he's about 60 years old, if he goes into the ocean, gets lots of sun, goes into the ocean, there seems to be a relationship of decrease in the symptoms of psoriasis by going into the ocean and being in the sun. So that kind of ties with your vitamin D, doesn't it, Dr. Shealy?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I think that's the benefit of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the major benefit is the sun, and the minor benefit would be the water, the ocean?
Well, possibly. The salt water might be beneficial, yes.
Okay. How about eczema, Dr. Shealy? What is eczema?
It's a rash. a very different rash from psoriasis. It tends to occur most on the face, but can be other places. And again, it's a weakness of the immune system.
Okay.
Always at the top of my list is the vitamin D3, the K2, the astaxanthin, and in this case, I would also take my essential, Dr. Shealy's Essentials, and Dr. Shealy's Youth Formula, because the vitamin C could be additionally helpful.
Okay. Now, when you say Dr. Shealy's Youth Formula, class, that's what I take many times a day, and it's a capsule. It's and you call it Youth Formula, but it really is not intended specifically for people who are young. It's for all ages, right?
Well, in fact, it's to help you remain youthful or return to youth, because it does raise your DHEA. Mm-hmm. DHEA, dehydroepiandrosterone, is the single most important blood test to tell how much you've reacted to stress. In other words, it's down.
Mm-hmm. And class, when I get to Springfield, I usually buy 2 bottles at a time, and I take it multiple times per day, and I absolutely feel it really helps me. As a matter of fact, I know when I don't take it. So if I miss it, a dose, I know it. I really know it. So it feels, I feel less inflammation as well, Dr. Shealy. Is that something?
Oh, absolutely. All part of the whole. Definitely.
Okay. I have an interesting story to share with you, Dr. Shealy, and class. So I got an email from one of our instructors in Australia. Her name is Gwyneth Isaacs. And Gwyneth said she got a contact across the internet from one of our students, and his name is Bruce. Bruce lives in Hawaii. And Bruce heard me talking about something a product that we found not available in the United States. That is a calf bolus. And that's a large kind of a caplet, if you will. It's about the size of, let's say 2 joints on your finger. So it's a pretty big caplet. And if a calf has diarrhea, you just put this down the calf's throat with a stick. But it's really a plastic wand, if you will, that's designed to go down the calf's throat. And because you can't tell a calf, here, take this bolus. They won't understand what you're saying. So you have to kind of open their mouth and put it down their throat. And it lasts for 3 days, and it will fix them right up. It works great. Well, they're not available in the United States anywhere. We've called all the companies that sell them, Tractor Supply and the local farmers cooperative, and nobody has them. And it's kind of odd. It doesn't matter what the brand is. There's several brands of them. They're not in stock anywhere. Now, it's called Sustain, Sustain, and the number 3. Now, you can find cow boluses, but you can't find them for calves. And one of our instructors heard me talking about this, and one of our students, I should say, in Hawaii, and he called around and he found a package of 10, and he bought them for me. And I just find that as kind as could be. It took me back that someone would hear me say it on the radio, make the calls to try to find them because I said I couldn't find them, and went and bought them. And he got the one not Sustain 3, which is the kind that we would need. And that's my fault because I wasn't clear enough as to the exact kind that is not in supply. But he found them. He was able to return them. But he contacted Gwyneth Isaacs in Australia, and she contacted me, and I called Bruce in Hawaii and thanked him, and we discussed it, and we found out that they weren't exactly the right ones. But isn't that interesting, Dr. Shealy, that, there was communications of, over 10,000 miles with one of our students trying to help me. That's about as kind as it gets, right?
Well, there's no question in my mind that the nicest people on the earth are the Australians.
Mm-hmm. And this guy from Hawaii, too. Yeah.
Yes. Well, they're good people everywhere. But as an overall country, I find Australia to be outstanding.
Yeah. Very interesting. And from what I understand, royalty in England, when they had problems with some of their people, they sent them to Australia rather than execute them.
It was sort of like Georgia. The state of Georgia was the same thing at one time, and so that was their penal colony.
Yeah. Dr. Shealy, dandruff. What, I don't have it. I don't think I've ever had it, but I remember commercials on television, back in the 60s, for psoriasis, eczema, and dandruff. What is dandruff? What causes it? And for those who have it, is there anything they can do about it? Well,
dandruff is sort of like eczema of the scalp. Basically, it's almost 50% of people have some dandruff from time to time. It is supposedly due to some kind of little bug called MALASSEZIA, globosa, GLOBOSA. So it's like an infectious microbe that irritates the skin. And actually, Head and Shoulders shampoo does seem to help it.
Okay. We'll be right back with Dr. Norman Shealy. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. Medical doctor, senior USA, preparedness instructor, inventor, author, farmer, Native American medicine man, and much more. Dr. Shealy, do you have any thoughts that you'd like to share with us about ailments that you're seeing in your clinic that we should be aware of, that we can do things to prevent us getting them? Is there such a thing that you're seeing that you would like to discuss?
To a dozen people with serious flu in the last couple of weeks. And the best way to avoid flu is, guess what? Vitamin D3 and vitamin K2. I mean, if I didn't take that, I think I probably would have had the flu. But I haven't had the flu or a cold in 10 or 12 years since I started taking adequate amounts of D3. So that's at the very top of my list every day of the year, because bugs go around not just in the winter, but all year. And if you don't do that, forget anything. If you don't do that, it's like drinking and water and breathing. It's that important.
And how does vitamin C or your youth formula, how does it rank in, D3, K2?
Well, next on my list would be the vitamin C, the youth formula. The reason I like youth formula is you combine vitamin C with MSM, methylsulfonomethane, it's twice as potent. So it helps raise your DHEA as well as improve your immune system. But when you take over 60 milligrams of vitamin C a day, you need extra B complex, especially B6. So you also need something like Dr. Shealy's Essentials when you add the youth formula. And
that was my next question. Can you describe what Dr. Shealy's Essentials? What's in that?
The most important thing is it's got 25 milligrams of B1, B2, B3, B6, small amounts of all the other Bs, and then a whole host of other minerals, B12, folic acid, and, sort of the trace things to make it an optimal multivitamin.
Okay. And then for the consumption of D3, K2, Dr. Shealy's Youth Formula, and Dr. Shealy's Essentials, is this take them all at one time, or spread them out, a couple hours separation, or with food?
Well, I take them all in the morning.
How do you recommend?
I take it all in the morning with my first thing I do. Before I do anything else, I just take a handful of all this stuff and take it down with water, or sometimes with a cup of coffee.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on vegetable juices? Do you like consuming vegetable juices? Or?
Oh, heavens, yes. Now, I have to say that because of constraints of time and energy, I tend to buy dried, powdered vegetable gizmos, so to speak. I love kale powder and spinach powder especially, but we are on the verge, within a month, of having what I call Shealy Wellness Optimal Protein, Optimal Antioxidant Food Supplement. In other words, a powder that you can make into a morning slush and get 6,000 ORAX antioxidant units, plus over a third of your daily protein in one little down. You must have 15 different vegetables and fruits dried in it.
Does it have beets too? Oh, we'll come right back.
Oh, yes.
We're going to the top of the hour news and commercial. Yeah, okay. We'll be right back after top of the hour news and commercial announcements. Dr. Norman Shealy, normshealy.com. Area code 417-351-5221 to contact Dr. Shealy. 417-351-5221. We'll be right back. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. During this hour, I'd like to talk with Dr. Shealy about carbon-60, colostrum, lime water, and a few other topics about ibuprofen and damages that it causes, and how vitamin D can also repair your body. So, Dr. Shealy, may we start with, well, let me mention this first. I was talking with Stephen Hewer. He's one of our instructors. He's been to the expo at the same time that you were there. I don't know if you had a chance to meet him. His company is Synergistic Nutrition, SGN80.com. And he is fascinated. I was telling him about some of your work, and he's fascinated with your work on the TENS unit and your transdermal delivery of essential oils and your studies with life extension. And he would like to chat with you. Would it be okay if I gave him your contact information?
Oh, of course, of course.
Okay. And his name is Stephen Hewer. Really wonderful, wonderful man, and he's on the air with us as well. Dr. Shealy, you sent me a link during the first hour about 9 health benefits of carbon-60, and absolutely fascinating. And one of them is it improves longevity. Would you like to discuss that?
Well, let's face it, anything that cuts down on inflammation and oxidation in the body is going to extend life. So that, I think, is because the carbon-60 is reported to significantly have antioxidant benefits. It would have that effect as well.
Okay. One of the other benefits that this article that you sent me says that it kills viruses, and that's fascinating as well.
Well, of course. Let's face it. In general, viruses can be more dangerous than bacteria, but all infectious agents are not good.
Okay. And here's something quite fascinating. It says that carbon-60 prevents ultraviolet damage. If you incorporate it into a skin lotion, it can stop sunburn sometimes in human skin. That's kind of interesting.
Well, that would be part of its anti-inflammatory response as well.
So, just a couple thoughts about C60, carbon-60, and class, I'll report my findings. Dr. Shealy, do you think that you may be bringing this on as a product on your lineup as well? Is that something that you've been thinking about?
Well, I need to find the best source. That's the real problem. There are often a dozen or several dozen companies making it and then trying to decide which one is the optimal, but I will look into it for sure. Okay.
Next thought, colostrum, liposomal delivery colostrum for humans. Have you experimented, tested, researched that for,
I haven't done the liposomal colostrum. The water-soluble, of course, is the way it comes in nature. And I love colostrum. We do have on our website a water-soluble, normal, dried colostrum, which I think is extremely good for the intestinal tract.
Now, we try desperately to keep colostrum at the farm for our calves. If we have a calf born to a new mama, she's not really sure what to do, and the calf wants the nurse, and the mama says, don't bother me, boy. Leave me alone. I mean, sometimes that happens, and so what we have to do to keep that calf alive is to feed it with a bottle. And as a matter of fact, we during the top of the hour break that we just had, I ran down, checked the solar system, see how much electricity we had, and I said hi to Bessie. Now, Bessie is a little calf. She's a couple weeks old, and we've been bottle feeding little Bessie in the garage. When it's a little warmer out, we let her out. But at night, she comes in and sleeps in this fenced-in area that we've made in our garage to keep her warm, and we have some hay down there. But she was fed colostrum day one, and it's absolutely essential, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, in our 40 years of raising Appaloosa horses, we always kept horse colostrum available in case there was something the mother wasn't adequate.
Right. Now, is the colostrum for humans different from this 25-pound bag of colostrum that we keep for the cows or calves?
Well, I believe that the colostrum that we sell as a powdered thing is a bovine colostrum. We don't have human colostrum. But, by the way, children who are not breastfed, especially that first dose or drink or two, don't do quite as well.
Right. So now we're saying that the good old-fashioned mother's milk is the way to go to help the immune system develop and to sustain life and have a better chance at physically surviving the assaults that are sent our way during our lives if we have mother's milk, right?
Absolutely, and the evidence is overwhelming that children who are breastfed for at least the first 6 months do better in all ways, higher IQ, higher health, higher stamina, etc.
But we were lied to, Dr. Shealy, during the 1950s and the 1960s about how laboratory science has developed, something better than breastfeeding our children, and that would be
that's typical of the food mafia, which is as evil as the pharmacomafia, in my opinion. Remember, 80% of the food sold in this country is junk. 45% in McDonald's and its clones, and 60% of all the food in a regular grocery store is junk.
I stopped at a supermarket in Springfield. I was last week. I was helping our friend with some more of his plumbing and electrical issues on his old farmhouse. And he wanted to stop into a supermarket, pick up a couple things. And it was a supermarket that I don't normally go into in Springfield, Missouri. And while he was getting the few items that he needed, I was standing there just awestruck at the number of colors and the marketing and the salesmanship that's involved in these brightly colored packages of things that you can consume. And I was thinking about, things that you were saying about this is junk. It's extruded food. Extruded substances. I guess we're calling it food.
Well, and I call it dog food, but it's not good enough for the dogs either.
Well, it's amazing. It's amazing what's being sold, and you're absolutely right. There's so many ingredients in these packages. Class, please read the labels. Read the labels, and
once you read the labels, you'll be turned off. Hopefully, enough not to do it.
Yeah. And the proof of what we're talking about is if you go to a restaurant, the waitress at the end of the meal or during the meal will typically approach you and say, "Well, how's that taste?" The question is never, "Well, what do you think about that nutrition? Is that awesome or what?" It's how does it taste? And of course it tastes great because it's engineered to taste great with things like monosodium glutamate. And if you want to try an experiment, for those of you who love to eat Chinese food at a Chinese restaurant, try ordering it with no MSG.
And good luck to get them to do that, by the way.
Yeah. If you can get them to do that, what you'll find out is that it tastes kind of like the Chinese food that you make at home. And you go, geez, I just can't make it taste as good as that restaurant. Of course not, because you haven't added the MSG to send your taste buds into a frenzy. And so many of us who like the taste of Chinese food like it because it's flavor enhanced to the max. It really is.
There's no question. Monosodium does increase the taste, the flavor, but it's poison for your brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much arsenic are you willing to take in order to get the taste right?
Right. Well, didn't the Romans do that? Didn't they put lead in their wine because they liked the taste of the wine with lead in it? And
yeah.
Of course,
and remember, those, by the way, leaded glass canters, a lot of beautiful antique and even modern canisters that are made, to make your wine look better than coming out of the bottle, are lead glass. And so they will dissolve the lead out of the glass into your old drinking wine.
Well, Dr. Shealy, you've been here to the farmhouse, and we have lead glass wine glasses. However, we don't take them out for that very reason. These are old. They've been passed through the family for years. We have them, but they are in a cabinet. They are high up on the shelf where we don't take them down for that very, very reason. And I remember learning in elementary school that the Romans drank out of lead cups, and it poisoned them, and it made them crazy.
Well, pewter, by the way, is not good to drink out of either because it has some lead in it.
Yes. I have in the studio, I have a pewter beer stein that was given to me back in the 70s, I believe. And back then, people would have them engraved for a friend, and I had a teenage friend who gave me one of these, had it engraved. And of course, it has a clear glass bottom. It's made out of pewter, but I wouldn't drink out of it for that very reason. So class, pewter, leaded glass, lead goblets, don't drink out of them. Don't use them. Don't consume food out of them. And lead plumbing? Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, normshealy.com. Class, if you'd like to subscribe to the newsletter that Dr. Shealy releases multiple times weekly, and just go to normshealy.com. You can sign up for it and get great tips on health, nutrition, and the things that you need to do to live longer and live with more vitality and fend off diseases and the threats that are 360 degrees around us. And this is the first time I believe that Dr. Shealy and I are talking about colostrum. And so I went to his website, normshealy.com, and you can find colostrum, colostrum, colostrum powder, and you can buy it there. Dr. Shealy, how do you recommend a person take colostrum powder?
Well, I just put a teaspoon into my morning slush, but you could take it in any kind of liquid. And I just do it once a day. For people who have intestinal problems, I would suggest twice a day for the first week.
Okay. So do we take it with food, without food? What do we do?
I don't think it matters because, again, we're looking at milk, essentially an extract of the best form of milk, and that is often taken with other foods, so I see no reason not to take it with other things. Okay.
And for whom would you recommend they take the colostrum powder that you offer? What kind of...
Any kind of gastrointestinal problem, that is gaseousness, bloatedness, diarrhea, constipation. In other words, it helps reestablish the normal food for the healthy bacteria in your intestines.
Okay, so for someone who, and this is something that, we're hearing more and more about, irritable bowel. If someone has an irritable bowel syndrome, is this something that should be on the...
Absolutely, that and probiotics.
Okay, so when you say probiotics, are you talking about Greek yogurt? Are you talking about GR8 Adophilus? Are you talking about some of your products? Are you talking about all of the above?
Either GR8 or plain Greek yogurt. Both of those are at the top of my list for probiotics.
Okay, and how let me share with you the way I follow your recommendation for Greek yogurt. I take plain Greek yogurt, and I got to tell you, to me, it's not all that pleasant. I like the vanilla yogurt that I used to eat, and had some sugar in it, and it tasted great. Really, vanilla Greek yogurt, but I don't buy that anymore. Haven't bought it in quite a while because I now just consume the plain Greek yogurt. And what I do is I take yes.
Let me make a suggestion. If you don't like the taste, personally, I happen to like the taste, but that's just me. 1 teaspoon of honey stirred into it may make it much more pleasant.
Okay. All right. I will do that. I bought a bunch of cases of 1 pound honey jars, and it should last forever. But if it crystallizes, Dr. Shealy, what I do is I just warm it very, very slowly at the lowest temperature possible in a pan of water on a stove, and it just comes right back to life. It just it uncrystallizes it, if you will. And is that okay to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to put some honey in the plain Greek yogurt, and I'm looking forward to that. And right after the broadcast, I will do that. So irritable bowel syndrome is something that we use the colostrum for. And can you tell us one more time how often and how much of the colostrum and of the Greek yogurt, or the GR number 8 Adophilus, how often should a person consume that?
To start with, for the first week, I would do a teaspoon of the colostrum powder twice a day. If your gut's good by then, I would go to once a day indefinitely. The Greek yogurt, a minimum of 6 ounces a day.
Okay.
And so
okay, well,
GR 8 afterwards.
Okay, all right. Got more questions for Dr. Shealy when we come back. Class, if you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call. 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Dr. Norman Shealy. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. George is joining us in New Hampshire. George, I was thinking of you over the weekend. I'm so glad you called in. Welcome.
Same here, too. Actually, I wanted to call you at the house, but I didn't want to bother you because I figure, you got you got your plate full as it is. Hi, Dr. Shealy. I want to say to you, too.
Good morning.
If I might, I was going to say, it's insidious the way with MSG, among other things, but with MSG, that's so bad for us, the names that they hide under. If it says on a package yeast extract, or yeast food, or yeast nutrient, that's MSG. And they said if it's gelatin, or soy protein, or, even if it says glutamate at all, but if it says hydrolyzed protein. Now, people will be trying to avoid this, and then they just find that, how shall I say, a poison under name still is poisonous?
I absolutely agree with you. It's one of the reasons that I buy only packages that have what I call a real food, as it came from the farm, and maybe some salt. If it has anything else in it, I consider it junk.
Well, like I say, like you said many times, one thing I wanted to ask, I've heard of drug wars. Now we're in the health wars. And Dr. Shealy, I have a question. I believe that your nutrient-rich products have a military application. May I tell you what it is?
Yes.
Blitzkrieg. That didn't go over too good. Blitzkrieg. I'm sorry. If I can get better writers on my income, I'll do better. I just wanted to say that, gentlemen.
Blitzkrieg, you're talking about the term used by Germany in World War II, lightning fast attacks. That's what you're talking about, right?
Right. And I just figure with the Bliss products that he has, like you always greet Dr. Shealy, you said, "Are you blissed?" You know, I just thought there was a practical application from a military standpoint to the health was. I'm sorry, I had to get that in.
George, I just did a quick search. You're talking about MSG, monosodium glutamate. And if you go to the internet, it says MSG is a food additive that's been used for decades to enhance flavor. It's commonly used in Chinese food, canned vegetables, soups, processed meats, and it says that the FDA requires that all manufacturers of processed foods label whether or not they contain MSG. But restaurants are not required to disclose such information. And you're talking about the other names for MSG, glutamic acid, glutamate, monosodium glutamate, monopotassium glutamate, calcium glutamate, monoammonium glutamate, magnesium glutamate, and natrium glutamate, to name a few.
All junk.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And here's something else that it says on the internet, Dr. Shealy. There's much debate over MSG, a flavor enhancer that is linked to a host of health issues, including, not limited to, but including fibromyalgia, obesity, fatty liver, high insulin and blood sugar, high cholesterol, metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, disturbances in gut-brain connection, neurological and brain health issues, and much more. Gosh, if that isn't enough to get us to not use MSG, I don't know what is.
Well, common sense is still the uncommon commodity. And no matter what we talk about it, it's still poison.
Yeah. George, any other comments you'd like to share?
Well, I just wanted to say is that, I know Dr. Shealy that, and Vince, you can judge a man by his enemies, sometimes when you don't know much else about him. And I'll tell you, you took quite a stand, Dr. Shealy, back against a big Boston hospital back in 1960. And, like I said, you saved a lot of lives, too, by blowing the whistle on a very detrimental procedure that they were ready to take off and, go big time with. But like I say, I would have, someday when I'm down in Boston, I'd like to look up in the records that obituary that they published on you after the fact. You know what I mean? I'd like to see the write-up they gave you at that time.
Send me an email and I'll send you a copy of it. I've got
Dr. Shealy? Dr. Shealy, could you add me to that list? I'd love to see it. And is that something that we could post on the internet?
Of course.
We can post it on the internet?
I mean, I'm one. Other than Mark Twain, I'm the only person I know who survived his obituary.
What do they say? The rumor of your death has been greatly exaggerated.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right, gentlemen.
I think that's what he said.
Yeah. I say, I appreciate you, gentlemen, and like I said, it's a faculty that, let's just say, this is, how can we say, I feel like we have what do they call it when you get to go to college for free? You get a scholarship. Well, let's just say is that we I guess we got quite a group of scholars on our faculty, don't we?
Dr. Shealy and George, I've said this before. I feel I am the most fortunate person on the planet to be associated with such a wonderful faculty. I mean, it is it brings a tear to my eye. Just the thought of so many wonderful men and women who are willing to help each other, help others, no strings attached. It's amazing. And I believe it is. Other people who broadcast don't call the people whom they are associated with as faculty. I do. But whatever they happen to call theirs, I don't think they hold a candle to those who are in the USA Prepares faculty in any way. I really believe that this is the best faculty on the air right now. I really believe it because of the dedication, the wisdom, the sharing, the selflessness, the risks that the faculty individually takes to get the information out. Put all that together and much more. I think it's the best there is. I really believe it. And I really want to thank the entire faculty for all that you all do. It brings a tear to my eye. I'm not exaggerating. It does. So thank you all very much. George, thank you. Dr. Shealy, thank you. And thank those who are not with us. And there's one other component, and I wanted to share this with you two gentlemen and the class. The world is getting smaller, and I can prove it because we get calls from Europe, we get calls from Australia, we get calls from Central America, and I'll tell you, if someone hears one of us on the air and discerns just a slightly perceptible change in one's tone, one's voice, they can tell when one of us is under the weather a little bit, and the calls start immediately. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, seriously, how that happens. And the world is getting smaller through communications. And I'm glad that our faculty is the way it is. And why is that? I think what happened, Dr. Shealy, George, correct me if you think that this is incorrect, but I think it's what has happened with our faculty. It's individuals whom have determined that there's a common thread or a bunch of common threads in the way we think, act, behave, that they've just decided to give us a call and volunteer their services and have become faculty because of these common threads. Dr. Shealy, would you say that could be it or a part of it?
Absolutely. All the way, Big
George?
Blue.
Yeah. George, your thoughts?
I think there's a greater hand here that's bringing us together as there's a drawing of lines across the world that's been going on for many years, but now I think it's in earnest now that you're being forced to take sides. And I just feel so natural with you and Dr. Shealy and other members is that just to have drawn together, I feel closer to you, Vincent, and I mean, Dr. Shealy, like I said, I have the utmost respect for you, and I'd even say affection. And I say that I just felt naturally drawn to you, gentlemen, and I just find that it's almost like our lives have all combined to be here in this moment and to just share maybe bits and pieces and things that we've been able to seek out, almost like we're mining an operation, but we're seeking wisdom and truth and how to do things well and to seek out the good. And I don't think it's by accident. I don't believe in coincidence. I think there's a greater hand that's bringing us together, and I think there's going to be like a showdown, and as many people as can be helped and saved from the information on this program, I just think that, God willing, we'll all be able to enjoy it in eternity and look back and laugh and just see maybe just how much the evil in the world is being countermanded by just small acts of kindness and help and advice from people who are strangers and yet closer than best friends, I think.
Yeah. Very, very good point. George, would you like to stay with us?
Oh, no, I appreciate it, gentlemen. I know you and Dr. Shealy have more of it. Always good to see you talk to you as both, all right? Take care.
Great, and thanks. And feel free to call the farmhouse class. Feel free. Thanks so much. We'll be right back with Dr. Shealy. Dr. Shealy, I have a comment about an article I just read, and it's about windows being smashed, cars being flipped over, fires being set, traffic lights being taken down, vehicles being spray painted, awnings of businesses in the city of Philadelphia being jumped on, damaged by exuberant fans who watched the Super Bowl and were delighted with the outcome of the Super Bowl. So with their glee and delighted feelings about the outcome of the Super Bowl, they damaged the city, even climbing light poles. Now, the city government, or the corporation of the city of Philadelphia, greased the light poles so that the fans wouldn't climb them. They'd slide down. Well, they climbed them anyway. Unbelievable, the exuberance of these fans, to the point where they were destroying their own city in their joy over the outcome of the Super Bowl. I just wanted to mention that. That's beyond belief to me. Yeah. Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And
I mean, first of all, I have to say, I have no interest whatsoever. Cannot believe I've ever watched a full football game on television, and wouldn't spend my time going to one. But it's okay if people want to see people beat up and harmed physically by a very dangerous sport. But that's no excuse for taking your craziness to the streets. It's insanity.
Yeah, and the traumatic brain injuries that we're learning about.
Well, that's right.
Where these guys, these guys crashing into each other on purpose.
My father was smart enough when I was in my early teens to forbid me to play football, because he knew how dangerous it was for your neck and your head. And that was, I might say, basically over 65 years ago.
I remember kind of a story about football, and so the wife comes in and says, to her husband who's watching the game intently, and she says, "I don't get it. I just don't get it. All these guys running around." One guy throws the ball, and then another guy jumps on top of the ball, and then everybody jumps on that guy. Why is that? And he said, "Honey, imagine it's on sale." And that was his explanation as to, why these guys are all jumping on the guy jumping on the ball. But if you think about it, do we actually accomplish anything by watching this game? I mean, we have some people have jackets that they spend way, way, way too much money with the names of these sports teams on them. It makes I don't do it. I was helping a friend with his plumbing yesterday, and he said, Super Bowl's on. And then we went right back to work. That was it. Super Bowl's on. Okay, so let's we're not going to do that. We're going to finish this plumbing, and that's what we did because
snow coming down.
yeah. Dr. Shealy, I was reading an article about vitamin D, and it says vitamin D is an inexpensive solution to heart drugs. And scientists are finding that the sunshine supplement can repair and prevent damage caused by diabetes, high blood pressure. It stimulates the production of nitric acid, which helps regulate blood flow. It prevents clots, lowers internal stress of the cardio system, and it may be able to repair damaged cells elsewhere, such as the brain. What a good supplement. And you've been recommending vitamin D for as long as I've known you, Dr. Shealy. Literally.
Well, it's the top of my list.
And class, what's happening, broadcast after broadcast, the mainstream is deciding that, you know what? The things Dr. Shealy has been saying are right all along. No kidding. So if you want to hear it before the other guys find out about it, just listen to Dr. Shealy. No question about it. Dr. Shealy, thank you so much for spending 2 hours with us today and every week for 6 years. I really appreciate
Always
it.
fun. Yes, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Shealy.